Hello everyone, this is Brian with Red Mountain Reptiles, and today I'm going to explain to you how to get a snake or a picky snake to eat their food as a baby. So typically when you get corn snakes or milk snakes, they're pretty picky eaters when they're babies, typically, most of the time. Some of them are really easy to feed, but a lot of the time, as babies, that it's hard to get them feeding, even on live sometimes. It's really hard to get them feeding, so for example, let's say you go to a reptile show and you pick up this brand new corn snake. It's only 2 months old, and the breeder says it's eating live. You take it home, and the first thing you want to do is you want to take it out, you want to play with it, you want to show your family and friends. That's quite possibly the worst thing you could do. I mean, I know that sounds pretty upsetting, but it is probably the worst thing you could do. So what you should do is do not handle it when you take it inside. Get their cage ready, and for that cage, all you need is a paper towel roll, maybe 2 paper towel rolls, toilet paper roll folded back, um, for a little cave, and then a water dish, and that is all you need for a snake like that. And you pick it up, try to let it just put in the cage or put it in its paper towel roll, and then leave it for 5 to 7 days. So let them settle in. Do not touch them. Don't walk around their cage. You want to keep it nice and dark, so they'll settle in. And then after that 5 7 day period, you're gonna want to. So if it's on live, if the snake is on live, you're gonna want to go. I mean, you can try just defrosting the mouse and keeping the mouse extra warm and try to feed it. But if that doesn't work, then I'd try something called the boiling technique, which is what I use for all my babies. I use the boiling technique where I get a frozen thawed mouse and I boil it for all you want is a minute. You don't want to overboil it because that takes away some of the nutrients. So you don't want to do that, but you just boil it for maybe a minute, and you don't even 30 seconds will do. And then you get them in a nice, even smaller box inside of the bigger box. Put them in there, get the hot mouse, put it in there with them, and then 9 times out of 10, leave them for like 30 minutes, an hour. That mouse is gone and they've eaten it. And it works for me all the time. I don't think I've ever had a snake that didn't eat with the boiling technique. But if you go to the show and the breeder says it's eating frozen thawed, you don't want to go straight to the boiling technique because you most likely won't need it, and you don't want to do something you don't need to do. So for a pinky, for example, if it's only 2 months old and you get a pinky, you just want to defrost it. Just make sure it's extra warm. Make sure the water it's in is extra warm, and the mouse itself is extra warm. And you can dangle it in front of their face. If they don't strike immediately, just put them in the dark box with a warm mouse, and they'll most likely eat it if the breeder says it's on frozen thawed. But if it is on live, and you notice it's not eating a frozen thawed, even if it's just warm and they're in a box, you're gonna want to do the boiling technique, and then usually that works for me all the time. I've had milk snakes and corn snakes that just wouldn't eat. I mean, and before I knew this, I was stressed out and didn't know what to do. I talked to one of my friends, my reptile friends, and he said to use the boiling technique, works for a lot of his babies, and I did that. I mean, all my babies started eating. So that is a really good technique. I'd definitely check that out. And if it doesn't eat after that, and you're gonna want to try live mice. Um, and if you don't have live mice, I guess another technique is what they naturally eat in the wild. So maybe you can try anoles, like the brown anoles around here. If I'm in Florida, so the brown anoles around here, you can try to feed them those. But the thing is, when you get a snake on a different food other than rodents, they often get used to that food. So it's hard to get them back onto rodents. But if you have to, definitely try lizards or, I mean, I'll just try lizards and hopefully that'll work. But I mean, usually 9 times out of 10, the boiling technique works. But if it doesn't, you can try lizards. Go to your local pet store and get, I guess, lizards or something like that. And then, yeah, you can definitely try that. So if it does come to that, and it comes to the point where you have to use not a rodent or some other animal for your snake, if you want to get them back onto rodents, use something called the. I don't really have a method name for it, but I guess BHB Reptiles, as they call it the choo-choo train method. They call it, so when they're eating a lizard, this is hopefully when the snake is a little bit bigger. When they're eating a lizard, grab a pinky or a fuzzy, depending on the size. And as they're eating the lizard, their mouth will be open. And right when they're at the end, you're going to want to stick the pinky in their mouth. And you have to wait for that first bite. And when they hit that first bite, that means that they've tasted the mouse and they're agreeing, like, okay, this is food, I want to eat it. So they call it the choo-choo train method because it's like, just eating the lizard with the mouse as well. So you can try that too, and if it keeps it down, it's on frozen thawed. Next time you can try a frozen thawed pinky, and it'll most likely eat it because it's already had a taste of it. So I definitely try that too. If you can't get it on rodents and you want to get it back on rodents from whatever you've been feeding it, definitely try that method too. And that's really about it. I mean, corn snakes and milk snakes and king snakes as well, they're not very complicated animals. And honestly, what I've told you today, you just planning for the worst. I mean, sometimes when you go to a breeder and he says it eats live only, and you buy it, you can dangle a frozen thaw and it could just strike it, take it, no problem. I mean, that's happened to me before, so I'm just planning and showing you guys what to do when you're planning for the worst. It is always good to plan for the worst and be ready, just in case something like that happened. I mean, and one time I had a butter striped corn snake I got that it ate okay, but it wasn't a very healthy snake, and at one point it just stopped eating. I tried every technique. I did literally everything I could. Tried getting on lizards. It wouldn't eat anything, and unfortunately I had to get rid of it. I took it to a vet, and the vet's been taking care of it from now on, and I haven't really heard anything, so I'm not sure what it's doing, but so that's really what you want to do for babies, and I highly recommend this. So if someone's selling an adult corn snake, also, this isn't really having anything to feeding snakes, has nothing really to do with it, but I'm just gonna let you know now because the butterstripe was an adult. I know this is mainly on babies, but if someone is selling an adult corn snake, female or male, and it's only one adult, and it's a breeder you never heard of before, there's a reason why they're selling it, and usually it's not a good reason, because I've had the worst experience with adults, so I always recommend buying babies and raising them up. It's always the best idea. I mean, myself, I'm pretty impatient. I always want things now. I want things done now, so I had to learn the hard way, and I probably lost over $500, on snakes like that, because I had to get rid of some snakes that just couldn't eat or did eat and threw up and stuff like that. I mean, and it's a shame. It's a real shame. So just lesson learned for sure. You definitely want to just stick with babies, and you want trusted people. I've said this before in a couple of my videos. Lee, if you're in Florida and you're around the Orlando, Tampa, I guess Melbourne area, and the more central Florida, wait to find a reptile show coming up then. Wait for that show, because most likely, usually, I don't really know their schedules, but definitely check out Lee Abbott from Lee's Okeetees. He's a very great breeder. I mean, I bought an adult female from him, and I didn't even know him at the time. It was a great snake. It eats perfectly, and I bought 3 babies from him recently at a show. I bought a Palmetto and Lava Extreme Reverse Oketee, and just a male Extreme Reverse Oketee Het Lava. So yeah, he's a great breeder, and they've all eaten their first meals. I did have to use the boiling technique for the Extreme Reverse Okeetees. I had to use it for both of them because they were, at first they were pretty picky eaters. They wouldn't, eat very well. But surprisingly, the palmetto corn snake ate right off the bat. I mean, I just dangled it in front. I mean, palmettos are pretty docile. I didn't expect it to eat very well, but it just took took the mouse and just wrapped around it, and that snake eats really well. Explains why it was so big when I got it. But, yeah, so definitely check him out. And if you're in Florida, check out Ward. Right now, actually, when I publish this video, I think I'll publish this video next Tuesday. So that's on today's the 18th, so it's 22nd. I think I'll post this video on June 22nd. So if you're in Florida and you find a reptile show, I think there's an Orlando one coming up mid-July. Definitely look out for Ward. He has great stuff too, and Lee. They have great snakes. I actually just recently bought a Nelson's from him and a Het Palmetto male from him. So I bought a lot of snakes from him, so he's a very trusted breeder. And then South Florida Reptiles as well. They are in the Fort Lauderdale. They're in the Fort Lauderdale area, somewhere in South Florida, but they're usually at Tampa shows, Orlando shows too. So definitely check them out. Ethan Raj is the head of the company. He's a really great breeder. I'd definitely check him out too if you're in Florida. But and you know, you always want to buy from the trusted breeders, because if you buy from people that you don't know, I've done that multiple times, because you never learn if you don't try, I guess. But I've tried multiple breeders. It's just, and I've had the worst luck. So I chose these three breeders. These are the three breeders that are good. I trust them. I know them. They're great breeders. So I definitely check them out. I'll probably say this in every video. I probably shout them all out in every video, but yeah, they're definitely great. I definitely check them out. And well, I guess that'll pretty much conclude the video for today. So I mean, again, if your snake is having problems, just always plan for the worst. As you know, when you get a snake, always plan for the worst, because it quite possibly could happen. You know, and you want to be ready for this kind of stuff, and you want to make sure your snake can keep, you know, meals down as well. Anyway, guys, that'll pretty much wrap up the video for today. Thank you for watching. Sorry the video's kind of long today, but and I kind of did rant off on some stuff, so they probably weren't really on topic of how to feed reptiles. So but anyway, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you next time.